My grandmother lived to be 104. So she was born in England in the 1890s. She came to New Zealand as an orphan after the First World War on a ship with her sister. And she went into service in New Zealand as a cook, and she lived to 104. Still was living in her house in Manurewa on the main trunk line when she was 103. She said to me one day, probably in the late 80s, she said, "Keith, think of how much life has changed in the time I've been on the planet." She could remember Queen Victoria's coronation personally. And in that time, we not only had 2 world wars, we put man on the moon, we had nuclear bombs created and dropped, we had the internet and cell phones arrive, all these huge, huge changes in her lifetime. The lesson, she said to me, the words she said to me, in your lifetime, things will change more. So if you think of all of those changes, radical changes that occurred in her 100 years, and yet, as I said, and as I often say, change is so dynamic and change is speeding up, yet human beings are resistant to change, so there's the challenge for all of us in life, because it seems everything's going so quickly and it's so challenging to us, and we like some peace and quiet, some constancy, but it's not there. That comment she made to me in the 1980s has proven to be incredibly true. And so what's going to happen in the next 40 years in my lifetime if I'm lucky enough to live to the same age as she is? It's just mind-boggling.